Did you want to talk, or Councillor Dallett?
My office suggestion, could we have our guests speak, pull the mics closer when they're speaking? I sometimes can't hear the guests speak, because if I can't hear them, sometimes people at home, many thousands at home, probably can't hear them either. So it might be a little closer, would be beneficial. Thank you.
Fair enough. Could we ask the first presenters to pull the mic a little closer? All right. So anyway, we two registered presentations tonight. We have the Beaumont Blues and Roots Fest and the Beaumont Society of the Arts. So let's start out with Beaumont Blues and Roots. Mr. Cornell. Welcome to Chambers this evening.
Thank you. Is that good? Very good, Bill. All right. Do I need to sign in too?
No, you're registered. It's probably fine. But
Okay.
if you want to, go ahead.
It's worth something, that signature. So, all right. Thank you, members of council, mayor, and administration, for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to share the 2019 BBRF Beaumont Blues and Roots Festival results with you tonight. It's hard to believe that we've been giving these presentations for 12 years to 4 different councils and many different members of administration. And it's truly remarkable how this festival has grown from a small grassroots initiative to a nationally recognized event that draws thousands of people to our great city. I would like to introduce you first to our BBRF Organizing Committee for 2019. I have the distinct honor and privilege of leading this incredible group of people each year as we plan and present the Beaumont Blues and Roots Festival. We have Karina, myself, Roxanne, Dave, Brent, Marsha, Leroy, Gwen, Maggie, and Bill. A team of 10 very dedicated and passionate people. And I draw your attention to these people because they are all volunteers and members of the community who work very hard and tirelessly to bring a great value to our community through the festival. I would also think it's worthy of noting that 4 of these 10 people do not now or never have lived or resided in Beaumont, and they are equally as passionate about our town and about everything we're doing as everyone who does live here. So that's very exciting. We're also proud to say that for 2020, our team has grown by 3 with the addition of Brenda Goodhope, Leah Beyer, and our new youth member, Zoe Forrester. Why is the BBRF important? Events like the BBRF are keystones to any thriving community, offering economic and social benefits that far exceed the investments. In 2019, we had guests from over 50 towns and cities, 6 provinces, and even the USA visit our festival, visit our town, visit our city. One of my favorite memories from 2019 was a story of a group of guys I met from Ontario who bought tickets thinking that the festival was in Newfoundland. They were all set to drive east and loaded up their cars when they realized where Beaumont was. So they loaded up the car, they drove for 4 days to get to the BBRF. They were ecstatic, they had the best time and said it was one of the best festival experiences of their whole life. And then, there's other notes on the slide which you can read on your own, just about some of the great benefits of an event like this. Music releases dopamine, the feel-good hormone. That's kind of the key. So there's nobody who leaves our festival not feeling good. Some stats from this year. We had a record-setting attendance. Despite being the wettest June in years, we managed to end up with 2 dry days in the month of June, probably the only 2. We had a killer lineup of artists and some good events promotion, and we drew in a record-setting crowd. We set a target of 3,500 people per day, and we reached that goal both days. Plans are already in the works to increase our attendance for 2020. And the money stuff. It's pretty straightforward. We set a budget. We had revenue of $348,000, expenses of about $348,000. So we came out pretty much where we wanted to be. It's very worthy of noting that of that expenses was $45,000 in outstanding debt from the 2018 festival that we managed to pay down as part of our budget for 2019 through smart fiscal management and planning. We were able to clear up what we owed from the previous year where we had a bit of a loss. Benefits to Beaumont, the social impacts. The BBRF has become an attraction that draws guests to Beaumont. I already mentioned some of the great diverse locations where people are coming here from. This past weekend, my wife and I were in Calgary for a trade show with her business, and there was one customer that came up and noted that our business card said we were from Beaumont. Beaumont, that's where they have that great Blues and Roots Festival, is what this customer said, and I couldn't agree more. Our initiatives to support youth, women, and Indigenous Canadians have been remarkable additions to the festival over the years that bring much value and awareness to these organizations, the festival, and to Beaumont as a whole. The last note on the slide there, being a source of community pride, and we've heard that from many people at the festival and throughout the year. It's very rare that I can get through Sobeys without somebody stopping me and thanking me for the work that we do, and it's, you know, it's not just me, it's that team that I already mentioned. So we are very proud, and we're very excited that the people who live in this town see it as a source of pride as well. Economic impacts. There's many economic impacts. We talk about this every year. It's, you know, it's not an exact science to know how much people are going to spend here, but they do spend money when they come here. And of those 7,000 people, over 65% were visitors to this town. So those are people who are coming here for the first time, many of them. We've heard it said many times at the festival, I can't believe how much there is in Beaumont now. And I haven't been here for years, but I'm going to be back to see the town, to see Chartier, to see some of the businesses that we have in the painted door and all these other unique things that we have to offer. Engagement is key. That's noted on my slide there. So we were very glad and proud to have the City of Beaumont with a strong presence at this year's festival. They had a tent and representatives from the economic development team out there representing the town and engaging with people, and I think that had a huge impact, and we're very excited to have them back in future years. We hope that that will continue with even more innovative engagement throughout the festival by the team from the City of Beaumont. Whenever possible, we spend some of that $348,000 budget locally, wherever we can. So this is just a list of some of the businesses where we invested back into the community ourselves this year. So purchasing our liquor from Road King and Sea Change. As much as possible, we purchased groceries from local stores, Sobeys, No Frills. We supported our volunteers with food from many of the local restaurants, and we drank a lot of Starbucks coffee as well. The one that's not listed up here because I missed it, but JJ Screen Printing did all of our merchandise and our volunteer T-shirts and all of that sort of thing, and they've been a great support for the last couple of years as well. Response from the residents has been overwhelmingly positive. The new two-day format was very well received and appreciated by everyone. We didn't have anyone complain about not having a third day. I think everyone appreciated that we had a great entertainment value packed into 2 days, and then they had Sunday to kind of rest and recuperate before going back to school and work on Monday. The non-conflict with Town and Country Days was also very well received and appreciated, and I think that showed in our local resident attendance, which was up for sure to a higher percentage. And we're very glad to hear that that is going to be continuing in the future, now that Town and Country Days has been relocated to the week before our festival, so we appreciate that as well. Overall, this was very positive. I don't think we got a single call to Bylaw or anything this year for any complaints, which is awesome. Usually there's one or two, but this year we didn't hear anything negative. Our online responses, so this is just some stats that were I thought was really cool. It reflects on our festival, it reflects on the City of Beaumont as a whole, because Beaumont's in our name, so people are seeing that. Just the amount of engagement. Our Facebook engagement was up over 235% to 23,000 engagements. That's people liking, sharing, commenting. Our Instagram views were up 325%, and engagements were up over 60%, over 13,000 engagements on Instagram, which is a new platform where we're just growing. And our Twitter, I'm sure, was up as well. I just don't have those stats here tonight. Why the City of Beaumont contribution is so important. The financial commitment solidifies our partnership and Beaumont's commitment to the festival. Additionally, this is the revenue that kickstarts our revenue generating process. So every year we count on the contribution from the City of Beaumont to come early in the year in January. And that's what allows us to put deposits on some of the acts. And once we have acts booked, then we can start selling tickets and generating that revenue. So it's a cycle where we can't start selling and generating revenue until we have some acts booked, and we can't do that without deposits. So we very much appreciate that funding comes early in January and allows us to get things going every year. Yeah, that's pretty much covers that. 2020 and beyond. So we continue to build on the momentum from 2019. We've been continuing since the festival with our social media engagements and involvement in the community. We provide services to the Beaumont Night Market and to a number of other local organizations through bar service and such. We have a goal of reaching 5,000 attendees, and we're seeking new long-term partnerships with local businesses because we want to engage with the business community. I'm going to explode or something now. So the ejection chair is going to go off. And we want to extend our youth and family programming, which is something we added in 2019 as well and was well received. And then that's just a shot of the crowd on Friday night at the festival. Some of those 7,000 people that are visiting our town for the first time. So that's it.
Thank you very much. It's a great event. We're happy to have it in the city, and it brings us a lot of, well, you pointed about, so all sorts of benefits to having it here, and we're very happy to have it. Is there comments or questions from members of council? Councillor Montgomery.
Yeah, just to reiterate the thank you for bringing the event here to Beaumont. I guess the question I have, outside of a financial commitment, what can we, the seven of us, our administration, do to help promote this, to help get you to your goals? And I've had conversations with folks along the lines of, something as little as we send thousands of emails all the time, right? And we're engaging with people across the region. Having a little tagline on our email saying, "Come visit here," with the link to the website. These type of things. I'm just curious if you've given thought about how we can help. You guys work your ass off out there. How can we, as council and administration, help with that, non-financially?
Yeah. Well, I would say that the administration in 2019 was a huge support in many other ways other than financial, through resources and personnel. The guys from Parks helping us with picnic tables and supplies and that, and setting that stuff up. So that is much appreciated too, and I hadn't mentioned that, so I want to mention that. Of course, we would love to see this event promoted by the City of Beaumont as much as possible. Like on your website, it would be great to see more of our presence and more something to say that this is the home of the Beaumont Blues and Roots Festival. Anything like mail-outs and that sort of thing would be great. I have a dream where I will drive into town one day and it'll say Beaumont, home of the Beaumont Blues and Roots Festival, kind of like Camrose has for Big Valley and stuff, but maybe that's next year's plan. But yeah, of course, all the support is appreciated, and anything that your media in that group can do is much appreciated too. So.
I see, so through you, I see our comms guy nodding his head significantly here. So maybe just something to think about, and sorry to put you on the spot for ideas, but would encourage you to reach back out through communications. And
yeah, I just met him tonight, and yes, I got his card.
If you think we're not going to help, then tell us and we won't do anything. But certainly, yeah, I think there are ways that we can reach different audiences across the capital region that we should look into. So,
yep,
thanks.
And thanks very much, Mr. Cornell and the team. Great job again. It's highlight of the year for me, so I really do enjoy going to the festival and hearing about the success. And I'm similar to where Councillor Montgomery was asking about. I'm wondering about your dream in terms of where could this go? How much bigger? Like what do you see happening? 5,000 attendees. That's probably not where your goal ends, but do you see another event in the future? Do you see this one just getting better and better? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, there's a million answers to that question, but at this point in time, we just want to see consistent, steady growth. That, we've, over the years that this festival has been running, there's been a number of other festivals in the capital region that have come and gone due to setting their goals bigger than they could achieve, and by financial mismanagement and other areas, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much. So I think a steady growth in people and financially as we go is probably the smart way of handling it. We do have other events that we're involved in. We run our Halloween event that's been getting bigger every year, and our St. Patrick's Day event, and then, as I mentioned, we're offering our services to a number of other nonprofits through doing bartending with BSA events and Highland Dance and a couple of other groups in town. So, we're trying to build a community within the community with other nonprofit organizations and just trying to collaborate wherever possible in those regards.
Just down that same line, you reminded me of what I was wondering about in terms of helping others to do festival-like activities. Because really the festival idea is quite an interesting one. It does bring people in, again, usually in the summer or the spring, but maybe winter festivals or something like that. But you have a knack for that, so I hope you keep going, keep expanding in that way, and sharing your expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Danlett.
Thank you, Worship. Jeremy, thanks for coming. Congratulations on paying down $45,000 in debt. That's actually a pretty huge accomplishment from one year to another, so congratulations on that. Two questions quickly are, what sort of requirements do you have for deposits for your acts in January, February? Like, what kind of monetary deposits do you have to come up with? Is it very significant, those deposits, for to get the acts booked?
It's usually quite significant on the main headliner acts. Yeah, they usually want up to 50%, and sometimes we negotiate that into installment payments or smaller amounts at first. But yeah, it's the contribution from the city of Beaumont of $50,000 last year pretty much went to those deposits initially. So that's what helped us get the ball rolling and get the bigger names booked, which is what helped us to sell tickets early. So.
Second question is, on the total amount of revenue, I know you guys do some fundraising activities. What is the ratio of ticket sales to other ways of getting revenue in your $348,000? Is it 80% ticket revenue, 20% other fundraising activities, 75-25, ballpark?
That's a good question, and we're just in the process of doing our official year-end where we'll break it all down. I would say it's, just off the top of my head, we're looking at roughly a third of that is major sponsorships, and another third, maybe 40%, is ticket sales. And that fundraising is a smaller percentage for sure, like from our fundraising events and that. The ticket sales are I was probably closer to 50% actually of that. So,
Councillor Newkirk.
Yeah, thank you. I want to echo the comments of other councillors. I was happy to attend this year. It was great. I personally appreciated it being separated from the weekend, so put me in that camp. That was awesome. Can you speak a little bit to the growth of the vendor area that you've seen over time, and how you see that expanding with the get-together? Thank you.
So the vendor area, there's two areas that are technically vendors: the food vendors, the food trucks, and then there's the vendor village, which is our artisan and artist vendors along the back of the site. The last couple of years, the artisan vendor area has kind of remained consistent with the number that we have, just due to size limitations. Also not wanting to offer too much because people come to listen to music, and yes, they'll spend some money there, but we don't want to spread it too thin, and we want to give those vendors an opportunity to make some money too. So we select vendors that we think are a good fit and that sort of thing. For this year, we're definitely looking at our site plan closely and seeing where we can jig things around, because if we want to increase the crowd a little bit, then we also need to maybe move some things around on the site, maybe extend our fencing a little bit. And there is some room kind of to the north of the site where we can move some of the food trucks and vendors. And so that's something we're looking at. We haven't solidified yet, but space is definitely the restriction.
Yeah. Second question.
Sure.
Yeah, just wondering if you could expand on some of your, I don't know, similar to what Councillor Barnett said, the vision for the youth and family programming as we move forward.
Yeah, so 2019, we were excited to get some sponsors on board, including the Society for the Arts and local businesses. Ruminary Live was one of them. And so we had also River City Events sponsored by donating a tent. So we had a 20 by 20 tent with activities and stuff for kids and youth to do during the festival, off kind of to the north of the site. That was the first year. It was a trial, and it was, from what I've heard, very well received, and we think it went well. So we're just looking this year. I mentioned we have some new team members, so one of them is going to be specifically looking after that area with some programming and just trying to engage more with the kids and the youth, having more local businesses out who do youth-oriented stuff to offer programs, activities, crafts, whatever we can fit into there throughout the weekend, and just try to expand that, because it is definitely a very, very family-oriented event as far as festivals go, more than most other festivals you attend. So
Awesome, and you can sure tell when you're there, and it's it's a great value. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no further comments. Once again, it's a great event. We're happy to have it in the city and hope it continues for many years to come.
all right, thank you.
Which brings us to the Beaumont Society of the Arts. Please welcome to Chamber, Stephen.
Hello. Thank you for having us again. I'm Chantel Yardley, and I'm the president of the Beaumont Society for the Arts, and I have brought Grant Tolley, our past president for Beaumont Society for the Arts, with us to discuss some stuff at the end of the presentation and to answer any questions you might have. So we're going to talk about the BSA a little bit. We're going to look forward to further discussion potentially after the presentation. And we just want to walk you through our recent past, where we are today, and looking towards the future. So let's see. The past. So first, I want to just say thank you. We want to say thank you for your funding and your faith in us over the last year. The slide lists what the BSA has been involved in for the last year and how the tax dollars were allocated to the arts. We think that we have facilitated and provided quality art experiences for our community, and a variety of them. Our year-end and reports are given to administration, and if you'd like any more detail about how we spend those monies in actual detail, that is coming up to administration. But we have an annual arts conference. We had a flurry of fun that involved improv and dueling pianos. Festival de Musique involved the French band and celebrated 10 years of French rock music in our community. Another dueling pianos event, we supported the Beaumont Blues and Roots with their youth at the Blues, Alberta Culture Days. We had the a cappella and Baroque ensemble concert at the Beaumont Library. We are assisting in the seniors fundraiser with VNOT coming, and the Artists Association in Sale. I think if we move a little further up on this, I don't know how, sorry. There was, oh, wait, no, go back. There's also the Christmas Festival and Concert and more, and I've got some cards here for you guys all to take, because we would definitely like you to come to that. It's kind of our flagship event, and there's two parts to that festival. Next is the present, and so obviously you guys are sitting pretty close to budget time, so I just wanted to come and talk about our budget request really quick. We recently went through so hold on, I'm just going to read my notes. You probably get a consolidated version at budget time, so we want you to pay attention to the details. I have included it in the package, but just not here. So really we ask you to look and see all of the requests. It is significantly larger than it has been in the past, but that's because of we've saved space for the Beaumont Arts Council. And so we've done some forward thinking in our budget request, looking towards the equalization based on the policy, which was passed earlier, and based on the needs we have found over the years. Here are a few items to highlight, and I've included our budget again in your package to look over. I don't know where that went, but it isn't insignificant that we're asking for over $100,000 more than we got this year. But we think that it's not something we take lightly. In the future formation of the Beaumont Arts Council, we look forward to handing the financial responsibility and decision-making to them early in the next year. And so that takes me to the Beaumont Arts Council now, which I would like to go over. Over the past year, myself and 3 other members of the BSA, with Councillor Stout, Van Newkirk, and Mayor Stewart, created the terms of reference, and they'll be soon presented to you, I believe, on the 19th of November for your approval. And with that, the Beaumont Society for the Arts will be creating the application process to the Arts Council, and we will be handing off the control of the funding to the Beaumont Arts Council in the next year. That's what we are hoping to do. So what does this mean for the BSA? What are we going to do? Wait, see, look at I'm way behind on my slides. This is really bad. Maybe they got, okay, there's the budget things. Okay, so we have similar events to next year. Sorry, you guys, this is all out of order. With a couple additional events, we have some touring artists and sponsorships, scholarship and sponsorship events, and items that way, a community arts support program, as well as we're asking for a half-time position within the city of Beaumont within that budget request. Again, the Beaumont Arts Council request for 2020 also has an operational budget which we've included, and the public art funding for the Aquafit should also be on there. So again, the budget request is large, but please pay attention to the detail because we're doing some forward thinking into next year with that Beaumont Arts Council as well as the public art funding. Sorry, okay, future. What does this mean for the Beaumont Society for the Arts now? Because our job, what we were working towards was policy writing and Beaumont Arts Council, and now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do exactly what we set out to do many years ago, and our job is to hopefully build a facility. So I just want to bring a couple things to light, and one is that a cultural center was listed on the recent community master plan as being the third item that is most wanted in our town, and it will obviously most ultimately energize Beaumont's core, which is also a part of that master plan. If we had a beautiful cultural and community and arts center there, what a perfect thing. Maclean's magazine ranked us 158th Canada's best communities. 8 Alberta cities were ahead of us, and 3 of the most similar in demographics. St. Albert was number 23, Canmore was number 28, and Cochrane was 143. All had one amenity we do not have, and that is a cultural center and a cultural home. So as you look at economic development, please do not forget that making Beaumont a hub of art and culture also makes it a destination, which equals people coming and spending money in our city. I would like to speak quickly to the CCBCC retrofit that was brought up at a committee of the whole meeting recently. And there's a recommendation to retrofit the CCBCC to the tune of $250,000, I believe. And we would officially like to say that it is not in the artists' community's best interest to spend the money that way. Basically, nothing can really be done to make that hall any more like a theater without destroying it as a hall. It's a functioning space as a hall. It works great as a hall. Yes, there's things that need to be done. I think we all can agree that it needs some blackout curtains. Yes, but that is not going to make artists groups use it any more or less than they already do. They're not going to have a grad in there. They're not going to run the musicals. Nothing like that is going to happen in there. Beaumont Society School of Dance will not be running their year-end projects in there, even if you put a stage in which case you would wreck the fact that you wouldn't be able to use it as a hall anymore. The money to go towards putting sound and lighting equipment would be obsolete in a few years. And so we really think, yes, there are some things that need to be done there, but nothing will really help us that much. And we like using the hall, how we use it. And it does have a use for us. So yes, it does need some repairs and updates, but please don't do them in the name of art. Maybe you do them in the name of maintenance. Yes, some blackout blinds would be nice. But yes, as I said, and we have another solution for you. Because I know you're thinking, well, but we have to spend that money on art. How are we going to spend that money? Well, we're looking for approval in principle. This might sort of seem like deja vu for a feasibility study that we maybe came to you with a couple years ago. And so this feasibility study, what is it going to tell us? It's not going to tell us that we need an arts center or a cultural center because we already know that because the master plan told us that. So what it's going to do is it's going to tell us how much it's going to cost to build, how much it will cost to run, where we should put it, how big it should be, how is the parking going to work, how is the driving in and out. It will be a fully encompassed feasibility study that has to happen anyway. If you want to build one of these, it's going to have to happen to begin with. What is it going to cost? Well, last time we came, we asked for a third. We can't ask that today. We have to ask for the full amount with the promise of going to the federal government and the province and asking for the grant that we already had been approved for 2 years ago, had there been approval in principle given by the city. We can't go to them until we know that we have approval in principle because we already kind of got embarrassed by that. It left us in a bad position because we assumed that we would get that approval in principle. I don't want to say assume, but we thought it was going to happen. So we need that approval in principle first, and then we can get the grants from the province and the federal government. With this approval in principle from the city, we can also start actively pursuing our aggressive fundraising plan to get this space built before 2030. We are not, nor would we ever ask the city for all the money. We aren't asking for that, but we need your approval in principle so we can start getting the money. We have investors, we have people who are interested, and we have an aggressive fundraising plan. We just need the promise from you, our mayor, council, that this is the next big project in Beaumont. I brought Grant Tolley, BSA's past president, with me to answer some questions you may have pertaining to this matter. Grant has spent his life, his career, building cultural spaces in Alberta libraries, museums, and arts facility. He is an expert in his field. He comes with decades of experience. He's just too humble to say it, so I'm going to say it for him. He is not just some guy who's passionate about building a theater who doesn't know what he's doing. This will not be the CCBCC. This will not be the Aquafit. This will be something that is seen from beginning to end in a very organized and, I don't know, the best way possible. And that's about it, you guys. That's my 10 minutes. And we just want you to know that we hope to make this a possibility and a reality with as little impact on tax dollars as possible. That is part of our goal. And it is a possibility, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sorry about the mess.
That's all right. Happy.
I think you'll get it.
Do you want anything, Grant, or?
Sorry.
What Chantal has said, and would be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. And there was a fairly extensive attachment outlining the budgetary requests, and so we're happy to take that forward into our budget process, which kicks off in January of this year. So hopefully we'll be able to have some good conversations surrounding it and where we can go. But thank you very much for the events you put on. They're very well received. It's very well done in the community, and it's a big bonus to have it going on in our community, and we fully support that. So open it up to questions from members of council. Councillor Dowling.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for coming, presenting, always with such passion. It's always great to see. So the question I have is, you may recall the COW meeting we had, the recreational master plan presented, and one of the things in the package was the retrofit to the CCBCC, which I thought was an interesting recommendation. I asked the question in the meeting from the consultant, was the arts community communicated with that? And he said they were. I was under the impression that the committee was on board with the idea. And subsequent discussion we've had one-on-one and tonight as well is a definite no to that suggestion. So can we be crystal clear on that part of it? Because I did think the retrofit had some potential to be utilized, and I'm getting the clear impression now that that's not something this community is looking for. And just for crystal clear on your position, please.
No, I'll speak first, and then Grant, you can. I think, of course, we are jumping at anything that is thrown at us a little bit. We're like, yes, okay. But when really, really thinking about it, I firmly believe that that money can be better spent in a more advanced thinking way of where the arts are going. Technical supplies and stuff like sound equipment it's not worth spending our money on. We often rent equipment. The BSA has some equipment. Beaumont Blues and Roots has some of their own equipment. A lot of these groups travel with the equipment they have. They already have a temporary stage that we use. And so I don't even really understand what they would have outfitted it with, because if they were going to put a permanent stage in there, then you don't have a hall. And, so the hall is needed, and we just need the other thing too. And I think it would just be a waste of money.
Thank you for clarifying the position.
Do you want anything else there?
So I just add to that, because I think there's been a significant amount of confusion on this very item. We were consulted, or the consultants talked with the Beaumont Society for the Arts on 2 separate occasions for it was about 4 hours in total that we spent with them on this question of retrofitting the community hall came up to serve as an art space. And Chantal said, we said, sure, if any improvements there are going to improve the hall. However, as the consultants, reading through the report in its final format, parts of which I have here right in front of me, that was distilled by the consultants into, if we do these improvements or this retrofit to the CCBCC, we don't need to worry about doing any other art spaces for 10 years. And that's how it rolled out. Now we have here on page 61 of the master plan, all of the facilities in town all have a number in there except for a performing arts center, which is a 0. And then the consultants went into a discussion about retrofitting the CCBCC, and therefore we don't have to worry about an arts facility or a cultural facility for 10 years because this will do it. That was not our position. That was not what we conveyed to them. We conveyed to the consultants that wrote the master plan simply that, yes, any improvements to the CCBCC will be welcome, but it's not going to turn it into a performing arts space. It will make it a better hall, better community hall that will serve maybe a little broader set of interests for booking the hall, but it's not going to replace or even obviate, push back for 10 years the need for a cultural center.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Thank you. Follow-up question, please, on a different matter. Going to the study then, you mentioned a moment ago. I know 2 years ago you mentioned in your presentation that the feds and the province were going to kick in approximately $50,000 each, and you requested from the city that was not granted at that time, as you know. And so the procedure now you're requesting to clarify things is you're asking for approximately $150,000 now, subject to the province and the feds kicking in their third. So if one of them decided to say no, then we're back to no feasibility studies. Is that reasonably correct in the assessment of your ask?
I'm going to pass this to my answer.
Yeah, I want to make sure we're clear on the steps now this year versus 2 years ago.
Yeah. As Chantal mentioned, we were left with a bit of egg on your face last time with the federal government and with the provincial government because we had gone forward on the understanding we had made the applications. They were in, and both the province and the federal government had approved their share. And of course, we then had the city of Beaumont, town of Beaumont at the time, had to come up with the 1/3. It didn't happen, and we had to go and say, sorry, we have to withdraw our applications because we don't have the matching funding to proceed with it. In my discussions now with those same two groups to reapply basically the same applications updated that we did 2 years ago, and they're saying, well, we'll look at it, but unless the city of Beaumont is prepared to fund the whole thing, we won't even look at your applications because you withdrew last time. I don't know if they saw it as a bad faith move, or I'm not sure what it was, but as Chantel mentioned a moment ago, what we're asking is if you can approve the funding for the whole thing, then we will go back and say, okay, we now have this good faith commitment from the city of Beaumont, and let's now work on getting the grants that are available. Only, I might add, the city of Beaumont can't apply for these monies either from the province or from the federal government. It has to come from a not-for-profit. So we're seeing this as a true partnership. But because of the previous experience, they want to see this commitment from the city that that the city is prepared to go forward, and then they'll come on board.
Okay, so if I may clarify, thank you. Just to be clear, sorry to break the point, but so if I read you correctly, Mr. Tully, if we in the budget process going forward agree to fund the $150,000 for this feasibility study, the feds and province will look at it then, but no guarantee they're going to accept to kick in either one of them for that matter. So from a financial perspective, the risk is, and call it risk from a financial perspective, we may be stuck committing ourselves $150,000, period. Correct? That's a possibility, given the circumstance of the application process now versus 2 years ago.
Yes. And if I might editorialize a little bit on that, given the current state of politics and economics in the province of Alberta, I doubt that we'll get much positive response, if any, from the province. However, I think exactly the opposite is available to us from the federal government. Because of Western, and I'm not meaning to get political here, but it gets political. We have a lot of Western alienation. We know we have a new government, and I think the time is very ripe to approach the federal government for an increased share of funding, which they're looking for places to help out, and I think we're a prime spot where some federal funding would come.
Thank you for clarifying.
Councillor Van
No, sorry.
you good? Councillor Barnhart?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you very much. Thanks for all the work you're doing, which is a tremendous amount. A couple of budget questions. I know I'm not going to go into the weeds too far, but it's here, and so I just have to ask: is the intention around the long list of proposed events and programs, would that translate into the grants given to these organizations by the Arts Council down the road? Because I'm not understanding why that's here.
Yes. Yeah, potentially. Basically this is how I would explain it, I guess, the most simply, is the Beaumont Arts Council will give Beaumont Society for the Arts a chunk of money to keep running kind of our Christmas concert. We have a couple things that we keep doing that we're going to continue to do.
Right.
5 or 6 events. The Beaumont Arts Council would then decide the rest of that pot, and through people's applications, again, we're still kind of figuring out a lot of that.
There's still a bunch of policy and stuff that has to be written.
Yeah,
But some of those are here already.
Basically, the Beaumont Society for the Arts is going to come up with a way for people to apply to become part of the Arts Council. I think we agreed that there was 9 people on the Arts Council.
You don't have to go into all that
Anyway,
detail.
but
I just want the gist of where you're going.
People will decide how some of that other money is spent and who is getting it and how it's allocated, and that would be their
Because my
decision.
concern is that these other groups, obviously running the Rural Roots Fair, the Blues and Roots, et cetera, and so we don't want to be splintering it off. We want to support those organizations as well. So
We've just found over the last few years since we've gotten finances, as people are coming to us. Obviously, the city runs a grants program as well, but we've had lots of organizations come to us and say, oh, can you help us with this fundraiser? And at this point, we just, we want to help. We want to bring art, and if people are doing something that's along with our vision as a fundraiser, we don't mind supporting at this
so
point,
that's
because
part of the plan.
Yeah, we're just trying to make it a community.
Okay. No, that was helpful. And the other question is, I'm really confused by the note at the bottom of the budget. So it says this request represents an increase of 38.9% over the grant of $50,000 awarded to the BSA. And then it says under that, with the new and proposed, it represents an increase of 67.2%. I'm lost in those numbers. Is that maybe something left over from a previous?
Maybe, yeah.
Does that make any sense to you?
I updated it to 6. I thought I updated.
Maybe you could have a look at that because it is dated July 2018 at the bottom. So I think this is an old budget or something, or you just haven't updated the whole thing.
Maybe not the whole thing.
So maybe
Yeah.
before budget time, you might want to just have a look at it.
Again, another
Right.
great reason
Suggestion.
for someone to
Yeah.
get paid to do this job.
We've submitted the budget request through administration, and they'll be double checking it on our behalf, I'm sure.
And sorry, there's one last question, and that is the library. Is there an ongoing conversation with the library about the potential feasibility of a joint venture of some kind,
Yes,
please?
is the short answer. Yes, we would very much like to pursue all of the possibilities there, because there are some good possibilities for economies of scale and shared space within that feasibility study to see how it might benefit both organizations and lower costs overall for essentially 2 facilities.
Councillor Stout.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, just add my 2 cents worth, because most of the things I was going to say have already been said. But I will say thank you again for all the work you've done on this. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the previous season. I had the opportunity to attend a number of those events, and they were all fantastic opportunities that bring great things to Beaumont, I think, that Beaumont needs. 2 quick questions. And the percentage at the bottom, yes, those confused me as well. I wasn't going to say anything. If I took the bottom figure, 185,900, that's a 272% increase on the 50,000 from last year. So, yeah, percentages we can come up with, but then there are things included in there that I would actually exclude. So we can come up with whatever percentages we want to in the end. The question I really had was the events in, and I'm going to ask a budget question here, but it's a general budget. I know the events. It's going to be general. And it relates to the bigger picture, which is that in the absence of a performing arts venue of some kind, these events take place in whatever venues are available then. So does the budget include a rental amount, a cost of using whatever facility it is that we use?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we pay for the CCBCC, so we rent it every time we use it.
Right.
The library is a pretty good partner, and we don't pay for the library, I think, ever. And St. Vital Church we pay for is the other venue we use the most. St. Vital. The church. And then the CCBCC we pay. We haven't used Eaglemont, no.
I had the opportunity to attend, to go to a couple of presentations in Quebec City on churches that had been converted into performing arts spaces. But I'm imagining there are few opportunities for that here in Beaumont. In fact, 0. Okay, so if you had...
There is a barn. We're looking forward to the barn.
if we had a performing arts centre, then these amounts would be reduced then by those rentals, and the budget would be lower, assuming you weren't renting space in your own performing arts centre.
And I think you would have cost recovery in a greater sense.
Yes.
Because...
I was going to say, I don't want to see the numbers, because now there's maintenance and upkeep and other things that would be over and above rental. So let's not talk about budget tonight.
No, I fully agree. I don't want to go into individual budget amounts. I just wanted to understand how you arrive at some of these numbers and what the consequence of having a performing arts centre versus not having one would be in terms of operating budgets. I just wanted to make the point that that would generally reduce it. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Councillor Allen, final comments?
Yes, a quick question, non-budget, Mr. Mayor, non-budget question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I need to appreciate that. If you give me a ballpark idea, how many kids and families are involved in the arts community in Beaumont? I mean, I can point to hockey and soccer registrations. It's pretty easy to get an idea how many kids are involved. But just give me a ballpark for us to get an idea how big the arts community really is. Or a ballpark on how...
I know there's 300 families who are part of the Beaumont Society School of Dance.
Okay.
And they take multiple...
Yeah.
Yeah.
we haven't done a scientific survey to see, but we have done what would be, I think, very good straw polls, if you wish to use that term. We've come up with better than 70% of residents of Beaumont attend an arts or cultural event throughout the year. And I suspect that number is quite conservative. I would think personally that it's probably closer to 90+%.
That's good. Gives me an idea.
Yeah, families with young children, I think it's 100%. Of course, because you have kids in sports and dancing and school concerts and things of that sort. So it's a high number.
That's good. Thank you.
The arts are strong. The arts are alive. People do still continue, even in a recession, going to concerts, going to movies, paying for Netflix. People want to be entertained, and the closer they can, and being in Beaumont, not being able to drive or going anywhere in the winter, all good things.
Thank you very much. All right, see no further requests to speak. Once again, thank you very much. Continue to do the great work that you do, and we're happy to help support that how we can.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that brings us to item 8A, the annual review of our Beaumont Municipal Strategic Plan 2017-21 approval. We've got some updates. Who's coming to speak?
Thanks, Chris.
Ms. Honourable.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'll keep this very brief. The report for the strategic plan was included in your package. The process was over a couple of months of review with council. All in all, elected officials are still quite happy with the plan. And the summary of the changes that were made were very high level, and some editing that went on in the document as well. So the summary of all the changes are in the report itself. The attached document, the changes are highlighted in yellow. Once or if approved by council, the document will be made much prettier than the version that it is attached to this package today. We're also going to fix, there seems to be confusion on the electronic version of the document in terms of lining up the goals and what that looked like. So the format will be changed as well to address that issue. So administration is recommending that council approves the revisions and updates to our Beaumont Municipal Strategic Plan 2017 to 2021. Thank you.
Cool. So I'd like to move the council approve the revisions updates to our Beaumont Municipal Strategic Plan 2017 to 2021. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none. This is going to go quick. All in favor? Sorry, hang on. There we go. That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to council. It was 2 or 3. It was a large process to get to this point. The fact that we're not having this whole conversation again is awesome. Once again, my thanks to council and administration, especially council, for going through this process. We had a couple of hard nights, a couple of really good discussions, getting this updated, and my thanks and appreciation to you all in getting that done. So moving on to council meeting Christmas closure. There's got to be a way to do this within the organizational meeting. Is there not? Sorry. December council meeting schedule. So I'd like to move that. Sorry, I'll get some in and then I'll make the motion. Ms. Winter.
Thank you, Your Worship. To members of council and the public, in the past, council meetings in December have been cancelled to accommodate for elected officials and administration's absences during the holidays. Sorry.
All right.
If the meetings are canceled and there is business that needs to be addressed, a special council meeting could be booked pursuant to the provisions of the Municipal Government Act. At this time, administration is recommending that council cancel the December 24th, 2019 regular council meeting and direct administration to conduct the necessary advertising for the public regarding the cancellation. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll move the council cancels the December 24th, 2019 regular council meeting. No, I don't want to be here Christmas Eve. And direct administration to conduct the necessary advertising advice in the public with cancellation. Discussion on the motion. Heck no. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Oops. Sorry, you need to vote again. I cut Councillor Stout off before it registered. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Which brings us to councillors' inquiries and reports. Do members of council have questions for administration this evening? Councillor Daniluk.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wasn't able to ask administration before this meeting happened, but I was curious if you can provide any feedback. If you're able to this time, I believe the CCBCC Advisory Committee had advertisement looking for citizens to come and join the committee. October 31st, I believe the application process had closed. Did anybody actually, any update we can get on anybody who may have actually, do we have people who applied to join the committee, or do we have any applicants at all? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Daniluk. Legislative Services ran the ads. We did receive a few applications for some of the council committees and boards and committees that we have. However, we did not receive any applications for that specific committee that you're asking about.
Councillor Stout.
Thank you, Worship. Do we have any progress to report on a cost benefit from the other project? It's been a month since it finished.
So timeline?
2 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks?
The reason I'm asking is because I get asked lots of times, and I'd like to be able to give a definitive answer.
Okay. Any further questions of admin from members of council? Is there members of council wishing to make statements this evening? No? Okay, so I got a couple of updates for council. I attended several meetings in the region over the last couple of weeks, and so there's a couple of highlights that that should be of note to council. The Edmonton Metropolitan Region Board recently discussed governance from a high level at a November 8th meeting. And specifically, the AMRB is currently going through a process where we're starting to look at how our role and our conversations can focus more on a higher level strategy versus we find ourselves getting into the weeds of things. And so we're going to continue to move forward, and so that we can't get stuck in the technical details and it becomes more strategic guidance versus basically we're finding ourselves stuck in the bottom. We also addressed the recent concerns raised by Parkland County in relation to workloads and funding, and we're working towards developing some potential solutions on that. So I look forward to updating council as those things come out. The Intermunicipal Planning Framework Agreement, also known as the Valentine's Day Accord, that we signed with the City of Edmonton and the County of Leduc. I got some great news. During the November 7th meeting, Oversight Committee meeting, Beaumont, Edmonton, Leduc County finally finalized a draft framework. So yay. It's been a lot of hard work, and a lot of hard work was put in by the respective administrations. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for their work in getting getting us to where we're at. So the next step is presentation to respective municipal councils. So that document should be available coming here in December. And then it's going to come to council for approval and adoption, and then we'll sign hopefully a memorandum of agreement with the City of Edmonton and the County of Leduc. The timeline for that is we're looking to bring it specifically forward to the Beaumont Committee of the Whole in January, and then council meeting the following week. Like I say, though, I'm hoping to have the document out to you earlier so you can have some time to review and go through it. This is mainly due to the City of Edmonton's schedule to do it. We could bring it faster, but they can't, and we like it all to come at once. So at the same time, at the end of January, we'll go to the county and we'll go to the City of Edmonton councils. And I'm, like I say, I'm really pleased. It's a great document, and a lot of good work went into it. And then another great meeting, and I was honored to be a guest at the Covenant Foundation's luncheon on October 31. The foundation raises funds for Covenant Health, Covenant Living, and Covenant Care. During the luncheon, I had a couple of really productive conversations with Covenant officials and other stakeholders that were there at lunch. And while no formal commitments were made, we were following up to a little bit to explore some opportunities to be able to work together to perhaps improve some healthcare delivery in Beaumont. So I know we've had some conversations around this table about 24/7 clinics and things like that. And Covenant's doing some really impressive work in Mill Woods that there may be some spillover effects for our community. Not promising anything, very, very preliminary. Literally had lunch once. So hoping we can make some relationships and move forward with that. Are there any questions from members of council for me this evening? No? Awesome. Which leads us into the CAO's update.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. I'll keep this brief because we've got an in-camera item that we want to get to. The majority of my update is on the BSRC, and we'll be bringing back formal update on the construction. But just a few highlights. Roof deck is now 90% complete. Building insulated panels are 80% complete. They look to have the building closed in, the envelope closed in by December 3rd. On November 14th, they start the interior slab pours. We've also done some work on the north and west driving lanes of the parking lot. They've been poured. The remainder will be completed in the spring, and that's significant. It'll allow them to get in there in the spring when it's mucky and crappy. So getting that driving lanes poured was a significant accomplishment. I've started some painting. The Ken Nickel roof replacement, phase 1, was completed about a week ago. So that's basically what I wanted to provide tonight. More details to follow, more formal details to follow.
So moved, Your Worship. Thank you.